Cop orders to open coffin. When he sees what's inside, he arrests the driver. During a routine checkpoint on a seldom-used back road, Officer Daniels flagged down a hearse for a routine inspection. Something about the driver's nervous demeanor and the heavy odor emanating from the vehicle raised his suspicion. Reluctantly, the driver complied when Daniels demanded to see the contents of the coffin in the back. The sight inside the coffin left Officer Daniels reaching for his handcuffs. As he snapped on the cuffs, the driver's panicked explanations made the situation even more baffling. But before we start, smash the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our upcoming stories. Officer Daniels escorted the driver to the side of the road and started to question him. Daniels asked some basic questions: where he was coming from, where he was heading, and about the apparent smell from the vehicle. Answers came haltingly, and the driver avoided direct eye contact, only adding to Daniels' sense that something was off. The driver, visibly sweating, stumbled over his words while attempting to explain where he was coming from and going to. He mentioned a funeral home, but details were vague and inconsistent. Daniels noticed that the funeral home mentioned on the side of the hearse didn't exist in the nearby area. This added a layer of intrigue and caution. With waning patience, he asked the driver if there was anyone else in the vehicle, but the driver insisted he was alone. Daniels wasn't convinced. His nerves were on edge, and his mind churned over the possible scenarios that could explain this strange encounter. Daniels decided to radio in for backup, sensing the situation was far from routine, as he knew backup would help ensure everyone's safety and provide a more thorough investigation. While they waited for backup, Daniels asked to see the driver's identification and vehicle registration. The driver's hands shook as he reached into his pocket and produced a slightly crumpled driver's license. He took the paperwork, all the while keeping a close eye on the driver. Asking the standard questions and waiting for more support was all part of the routine. But Daniels knew this was anything but standard. The creases and wear on the documents weren't consistent with what he'd expect from official papers. Though inspecting the documents closely, he noticed minor but telling inaccuracies. Added to all the other red flags, these inconsistencies put Daniels on high alert. The paperwork seemed forged, and when Daniels pressed for more details about his route and intentions, his answers were contradictory, timelines were muddled, and nothing made sense. Every discrepancy was more ammunition for Daniels to dig deeper and unravel the mystery. As he secured the dubious paperwork, he glanced around, sensing that backup couldn't arrive soon enough. Daniels couldn't shake off an odd sensation, as if the coffin in the hearse held more than what was initially apparent. Instinct told him that the situation needed immediate and thorough investigation. The officer decided to walk back to his patrol car and check the details of the hearse registration in their system. The database might provide some clarity, he thought, as he typed in the license plate number. He hoped the system would provide answers, or at least additional information to guide his next steps. The backup arrived at what felt like an eternity, and Daniels briefed his fellow officers on the situation. He explained the driver's nervous behavior, the inconsistencies in his story, and the dubious paperwork. The officers quickly grasped the gravity of the situation. They spread out, taking positions that would give them a clearer view of the vehicle and its surroundings. Officer Ramirez, who had experience with forgery cases, took a look at the documents and confirmed Daniels' suspicions. They were indeed fakes. They knew they had to proceed carefully but decisively. Ramirez silently gave a nod to Daniels, signaling the insufficient credibility of the driver's story. They began a systematic search of the hearse, first inspecting the exterior for any hidden compartments. The search turned up nothing unusual on the outside, so they shifted their focus to the interior. Daniels then ordered the driver to open the coffin, and the driver's hands shook noticeably as he went to comply. Every officer was on high alert, their senses keen and weapons ready, just in case. Daniels kept his gaze steady on the driver, noticing the beads of sweat forming on his brow. Something significant was about to be revealed. Before lifting the lid, Daniels sent the driver back to sit in his patrol car, ensuring he couldn't interfere. As the officers prepared to open a coffin, they were suddenly interrupted by a distress call over the radio. The urgent voice announced a nearby jewelry store had been robbed, and the suspects were believed to be fleeing in their direction. Daniels decided to station one officer with the hearse and driver while he and Ramirez headed over to the store. He turned to Officer Thompson and gave clear instructions to keep an eye on the hearse and its suspicious cargo. Daniels knew he needed to balance the need for immediate action with the mystery still looming. With a determined nod, he and Ramirez hurriedly drove towards the robbery scene. The officer left behind, Thompson kept a wary eye on both the coffin and the driver. Thompson's senses were on high alert, every small movement catching his attention. He knew he needed to remain vigilant and ready for anything that might unfold any second. Thompson questioned the driver, trying to keep him talking while maintaining control of the situation. His main goal was simple: keep the driver engaged and distracted, ensuring there wouldn't be any sudden moves or attempts to compromise the situation. Daniels and Ramirez quickly arrived at the crime scene, which was in disarray as the owners described the robbers who had fled just minutes earlier. The store was a mess, glass shattered and goods strewn everywhere. Daniels quickly stepped into action, taking statements and gathering as much information as possible to form a clearer picture of the suspects. The description matched several known criminals in the area, suggesting a premeditated hit. Daniels and Ramirez exchanged a knowing glance. They had been chasing leads on these particular thieves for weeks. As Daniels gathered information, he realized the likely getaway route would bring the robbers back towards the secluded road where the hearse was parked. With the suspects possibly heading towards Thompson's position, they might intercept them directly. An intense chase ensued when they spotted the suspect vehicle heading in the opposite direction. Daniels and Ramirez flicked on the sirens and sped after it, their hearts pounding as they closed the gap. Suspect vehicle swerved recklessly, trying to dodge the patrol car. Daniels and Ramirez successfully apprehended the suspects after a short but dramatic pursuit, finding stolen jewelry in their possession. Relief flooded them both as Ramirez secured the evidence. Relieved, they quickly headed back to the hearse to rejoin Thompson. As they approached, Daniels spotted Thompson, still vigilant by the coffin, signaling a return to their initial task. Returning to the scene with the hearse, Daniels was more determined than ever to investigate the coffin. He couldn't shake off the feeling that something crucial was hidden inside. While they were gone, Officer Thompson had noticed a strong chemical smell emanating from the hearse. He reported this to Daniels as soon as he returned, mentioning it had grown more intense over time. This heightened Daniels' suspicion even further, giving him another reason to expedite their search. The driver grew increasingly agitated, swearing he had no knowledge of anything unusual. Daniels decided it was time to take a closer look at everything, starting with the source of the chemical odor. Ramirez suggested calling in a K9 unit to sniff out any potential drugs or explosives. Daniels agreed, recognizing that the specialized skills of the K9 unit could provide crucial insights. By this point, a small crowd had gathered, noting the police activity on the seldom-used road. Curious onlookers whispered among themselves, speculating about what might be happening. Daniels instructed his officers to manage the crowd, ensuring it remained at a safe distance. As the K9 unit arrived, Daniels noticed slight inconsistencies in the coffin's construction that he hadn't seen before. Tiny gaps and mismatched materials suggested hidden compartments, subtle modifications that would go unnoticed by an untrained eye. Daniels pointed them out to Ramirez, who nodded in agreement. The evidence, combined with the driver's nervous behavior and forged documents, bolstered their belief that something much larger was at play. Daniels ordered the K9 unit to begin its search, hoping the trained dog would confirm their suspicions. The air was thick with tension as the K9 sniffed the hearse, quickly alerting to something inside. The dog zeroed in on the coffin, barking and scratching at the surface. This undeniable signal forced the team to confront the reality of what they were dealing with. Daniels, now more certain than ever, ordered everyone to prepare for a detailed inspection. The area was cleared, with officers creating a perimeter to keep curious onlookers at a safe distance as the situation seemed to be escalating rapidly. The background check on the driver revealed only minor offenses, traffic violations, and a few misdemeanors, nothing that matched the gravity of the current situation. This discrepancy puzzled Daniels. Why would someone with such a trivial criminal record be involved in something potentially dangerous? Both forged documents, the overpowering chemical smell, and the driver's erratic behavior pointed toward a much larger, more serious operation. Daniels remained behind with Thompson, while Ramirez took the driver to the station for further questioning. The driver, growing more agitated, refused to provide details about what was in the coffin, continuing to insist that he didn't know. His denials, paired with his previous minor offenses, made no sense to Daniels. There had to be more going on, and the team was determined to uncover it. Just as Daniels and Thompson were preparing to open the coffin, a call came in from Detective Ross, who had been working on a major smuggling case in the area. Ross explained that their suspects had been using funeral vehicles, particularly hearses, to smuggle illegal goods. This revelation tied together all the clues, the suspicious modifications to the hearse, the K9 alert, the forged documents, and the driver's evasiveness. Daniels now realized that they were on the verge of a major discovery. The coffin was no ordinary hiding place, it was part of a larger, well-organized smuggling operation. Daniels' mind raced with the implications. The reports of strange hearse activities over the last few months suddenly clicked into place. Connecting the dots, he saw a pattern he had previously missed. They weren't just dealing with a single illegal transport. This was a key piece in a much larger criminal enterprise. Thompson suggested they document every part of this meticulously, knowing the importance of preserving evidence for what could be a significant case. The two officers snapped photos from multiple angles, ensuring they captured every detail, from the hearse to the hidden compartments they suspected lay inside the coffin. As they waited for the evidence collection team to arrive, the driver had lawyered up, but not before mentioning the boss who needed the cargo delivered by tonight. This slip confirmed their suspicions about the larger network behind the smuggling. Feeling the pressure of time, Daniels pushed the team to expedite the process. The evidence team arrived and, using specialized tools, carefully began to open the coffin. The lid creaked open slightly, and a foul chemical odor escaped, confirming their worst fears. The team exchanged tense glances, realizing this was no routine discovery. Inside the coffin was a large, sealed compartment, expertly constructed to evade detection. The intricate design of the compartment shocked them. It was sophisticated, clearly the work of experienced criminals. Instead of a body, the compartment housed dozens of vials and bottles, all neatly labeled with what appeared to be chemical names. The smell left no doubt they had uncovered a stash of highly controlled substances. The officers knew instantly that they had stumbled upon something big. This wasn't just a routine smuggling case, but a major find tied to drug manufacturing. Daniels quickly began recording the details, taking photos and writing down the labels on each vial. The team documented every aspect of the discovery with meticulous care, knowing this evidence was crucial to building a case that could lead to significant arrests. The gravity of their discovery sank, and the operation they had uncovered was far more extensive and sophisticated than anyone had anticipated. Just as the final stages of evidence collection were wrapping up, Ramirez returned, eyes widening at the sheer scale of what they had uncovered. The hidden compartment, the vials, the chemicals. It was clear they had found a crucial link in a larger criminal network. Daniels cuffed the driver, now fully aware that they had cracked a vital part of the smuggling ring. The driver's protests fell on deaf ears as the team prepared to transport both the suspect and the evidence. Back at the station, Detective Ross began piecing together the intelligence from this bust with his ongoing investigations. Maps and reports covered the walls as Ross connected this discovery to other suspicious hearse-related activities over the past few months. But the puzzle was coming together, and it was clear that this wasn't just a local smuggling ring, but part of a national or even international operation. The news of the bust quickly spread, putting other law enforcement agencies on high alert, warning officers to inspect hearses and similar vehicles closely, leading to a ripple effect of heightened scrutiny at checkpoints across the region. Daniels knew this bust was just the beginning. There would be more arrests, more seizures, and more pieces of the puzzle uncovered. As the hearse was towed away, Daniels felt a sense of accomplishment but also resolve. But this was no ordinary case. The smuggling network they had unearthed was vast, and while they had made a significant breakthrough, the fight was far from over. Each officer present felt the weight of their discovery, knowing they had just scratched the surface of a much larger criminal enterprise. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another unbelievable tale like this one.